Okay, good evening, everybody. How's everybody feeling? Yes, love it. I love seeing so many familiar faces and so many new faces. How many folks, this is your first time in 1871? A few folks, love it. Well, welcome, welcome. For those that are not as familiar with us, 1871 is a startup innovation hub where we bring together startups across the full maturity curve. We are here to inspire, support, and equip anybody, wherever they're at in the stage of their innovation journey, to help get them the resources that they need to move that needle. That being said, one of our big pillars is bringing together the community. And so tonight, this is one of my favorite community events that we do in partnership with the Garage Group. This event brings together leaders from all different areas talking about their different journeys. I'm going to let Jason do intros with everybody, but just wanted to just welcome everybody and thank you so much for being here. It's been great conversations.
Thank you, Stephanie. That's amazing. Just starting out, I love the energy and the buzz and the conversation in here. Just to say hi to everybody that's joining virtual. But just I love intentionality of you all connecting and just learning from one another. I just was overhearing a lot of different conversations we're starting. It was awesome. So thank you guys for the connection. We'll have another round of that as we conclude. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jason Howard, co-founder of the Garage Group and founder of Courageous Minds Only. At the Garage Group, we work every day with leaders to keep their brands and portfolios relevant in the face of uncertainty. And it means a lot of us to have an impact on the clients, just broader network, and thought a lot about like how can we have a bigger impact outside of just the Garage Group. And that's what led to us to creating Courageous Minds Only platform. And it really is around courage, inspiration, ideas for all of you leaders here in the room and virtually to keep your businesses, your career, and your brands relevant in uncertainty. So just grateful you're here. Super excited about the conversation tonight. Jen from Aon, Daniel from Ferrero, Alan from Kraft, Heinz, and then Marcelo from ThoughtWorks. I'll let them share a little bit more about themselves as we get into it. If you've been to one of these events before, I'm probably like kind of repeat myself, but it's worth kind of noting and starting with is I really want you to think about tonight as a moment in your career and your journey where you took time out to get inspired, get inspired by the courage here. Maybe there's tangible ideas that you can take and apply them into your career journey, because I feel like when you're able to not only just have the idea or see you're getting inspired, but when you act, you build resiliency in yourself, and then you're an example to others of what's possible, right? And hopefully tonight, I was super inspired just in our prep interviews, conversations ahead of this conversation with all four of these leaders here of their journeys. And so just I was super inspired by that and just even have tangible ideas that I've started leveraging. And so I would just encourage all of you to think about this conversation as a moment and think hard about like what you can take out of this conversation and apply the rest of Q4 into next year, and set yourself on a journey. So sound good? All right. Excited to dive in. In Courageous Minds Only fashion, we'll just start with the hardest. We're just going to dive right in here. Start with the hardest question. But when you start out, just share your name and kind of company and role just for context for folks. But would love for you to share a moment in your career and your journey where you had to leverage courage. We use that as a launch point for the conversation. Jen, I would love you could kick us off.
All right, here we go. So thanks for starting with me. I think that might take my courage right now. So great networking session at the beginning, and I think what I'm recognizing is I'm probably the least exciting person in the room, with all sincerity. I'm Jen Akhter, as Jason said. I'm from Iran. I've been at the same company for 15 years. I've been at the industry for 20. And that really is the span of my career. In terms of kind of building courage throughout the process, probably that change that I had from company A to Aon was an area that really took me to a different point in kind of my trajectory. So I was working for an insurance carrier, Liberty Mutual. Everybody has likely heard of that company. And I was on a really good career path with them. When I was 24, I was making a tremendous amount of money, but it was kind of boring. Um, and I had an opportunity at the time to look at different companies in my sector. And one company I wasn't looking at was Aon. And a friend of mine had me and said, hey, you should meet this person. He can connect you to somebody else. And so he did, just at a lunch. And after that lunch, he was going to introduce me to a colleague of his. And I said, man, what you do sounds really interesting. Do you have a job with you guys? He said, no, we don't. Okay, great. And I'll introduce me to Anne, whoever it was. And 2 days later, he said, you know, I think we do have a potential opportunity. Would love you to speak with Bill. And so, long story short, I was talking to this different group that was very different from what I was doing, kind of my current career at the time. I ended up taking a role where I actually, and I think that this is probably familiar territory for many people, it was a job that I was very passionate about, and I thought that I could learn from and grow. And I took like a $55,000-$60,000 pay cut so that I could build myself in a different way, right, and enjoy what I was doing and grow. Certainly, you know, courage, you know, throughout that process, but ultimately it was, you know, really recognizing that in order to enjoy and be proud of how I could build, the other piece of it wasn't important, right? And maybe at the time that took courage, but
100%. Like, I think everything's in context and perspective, and I love that, because a lot of times we're not going to take a quick step or be courageous in something that potentially could be harmful to us or we perceive as a threat. Is you really in kind of taking the opportunity, right? Alan, how about you, Matthew?
So I'm Alan Kleinerman. I lead our innovation and new ventures teams over at Kraft Heinz. So innovation, I think most people know what that is, but new ventures is sort of the mergers and acquisitions, the corporate venture, sort of acceleration of new brands we bring to the portfolio. It's the chance I'm a lucky guy. I get to look at our build, buy, and partner strategy across the company. And for me, it's to me somewhat similar to what you just heard. And but I think maybe some different lenses as we go through it. I've taken, we'll say, a non-linear path in my career journey. I started my career in banking, mainly I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was living in New York at the time, pretty good numbers, just went into that. And when I was talking to Jason before this, I had said, the moment where I really brought courage in my career was realizing that wasn't the place I wanted to be, working in banking and making the move into marketing. It was a pretty drastic career shift. But as I thought about it more, like, yes, it took courage, but because I didn't love what I was doing at the time, it almost felt like it was a decision that I could make, right? I was confident in doing it, even though I'm going to school, giving up salary, right, and making a pivot. And as I thought more about it, I thought the moment that actually took more courage, right? As you go through the name of the event tonight was making the move to join Kraft Heinz about 3.5 years ago. And I was working in just an amazing role. I loved my team. I loved my manager. I was leading a global brand, and life was great. And I got a call from some folks that I knew at Kraft Heinz, and they were sharing this vision of transformation they were about to undergo. And the message that sticks with me today is a Sunday morning having a conversation. And he said, do you want to run a brand, or do you want to build the future of food? And like, I was for it, right? That line, it totally, it took me over. And it was leaving a job that I loved to go build something at a time when our company wasn't doing great, right? It wasn't a company that was necessarily reeling off results that we were pretty proud of at the time. We were at the beginning of a turnaround. And that moment of going to a company that was really performing, a team that I loved, to building something that needed a transformation, it took a little courage. But that's gets me excited, right? The chance to build something, the chance to have the actions that I make have an outside impact, and be like, every decision I make, and I still feel this way today, the company can be one as it looked backwards and a totally different one as it looked forward. So I couldn't be more happy with that decision. But it was definitely a decision that had a lot of pros, cons, a lot of consequences for it when I was making it.
A little bit of Steve Jobs, the question in terms of soda versus technology. I love it. Daniel?
Yeah, so my name is Daniel Vera. I'm the Vice President for Research and Development for Ferrero. Ferrero, just for people to know, Nutella, Ferrero Rocher, Nutella Cafe. So try to provide some examples of the brand because sometimes they confuse it with Ferrara, but we own Ferrara as well, but that's more on the candy side. But for me, again, similar examples to them, company transition. I am an ex-Pepsi. I spent 6 years in Mexico, 8 years in the United Kingdom. And I was always, even I have a Pepsi blue shirt today, right? Like I want to work for Pepsi all my life. I want to retire with them. I want to grow with them. But while I was in the United Kingdom already after 8 years, I was like, I hit my ceiling. I am not challenged anymore. In order for me to grow, it demanded me to stay more years and replace the people that they were going to retire. It was a small hub versus the American hubs in New York or in Texas. And at the time, Ferrero reached out to me and said, "Hey, do you want an opportunity? Mr. Ferrero is expanding to other territories, and he need people from experience in multinationals to come into the Ferrero and help us with the different mindset versus the Ferrero people that are the core or the heart of this company." It's okay. You know what? It's interesting. I had the opportunity to meet Mr. Ferrero, and he took me to his vision and said, "You know what? I think it's worth and it's the right time for me to move." But they said to me, "There's a caveat here. You need to move to Ferrero in Italy, so you can get to know the motherhood of Ferrero, the values of Ferrero, being on the main headquarters of the company there, and then eventually we will export your talent out to another places, let's say like Chicago." But anyway, when I did that, I moved to the unknown. I thought that I knew everything because I was in PepsiCo for 14 years, and yeah, the number one company of food industry, and Ferrero is we're 66 billion, Ferrero is 12 billion. I'm sure that I can come in and add value. I was a bit not arrogant, but I was a bit confident on myself at the time, right? I moved to Italy, no Italian. I moved to a company that was more on the heritage in the middle of between Turin and Milan, in which they only hire people from the region. They hire shuttle bus to collect people from the region, bring them to the factory in the same on the way home, in which the local people from the Piemonte region saw people from Turin or from Romas from another country. And in that region, they don't even speak Italian; they speak Piemontese. So, like, I don't speak Italian; I don't speak Piemontese. The locals speak this language, and the first thing that I got in there was rejection. Is because I came in at the senior level. I was not Italian. I was not Piemontese. I didn't properly knew how to communicate with them because I couldn't manage Italian, right? So for me, it was a bit bucket of cold water in order to say, you know what, Daniel, started to dumb myself that I made the right move here because I cannot perform and speak language. I don't know anyone. I don't have my comforts or my sponsors that I used to have in Pepsi. So it was about, you know what, let me take it a step back and start to understand and get resilient on what do I need to do. People that knew English, they didn't want to speak with me because I put them outside of their comfort zone. So in a way, I started to start from scratch my career at that level in a different company, in a different country, in which also I was in a way discriminated because I was not the Ferrero. I was the ex-PepsiCo, that for them, PepsiCo is not even popular in Italy. So in a way, it's something that all the negative, all the handicaps were there. That is, you know what, I need to start building my network. I started to spend quality time with each one of them, coffee time. Started to get into the culture of the espresso, not the Starbucks ones that we like. And it started to gain, I wouldn't call it gain popularity, but started to build a network that people know me, that I'm here to stay. I'm not their enemy. I'm not trying to steal jobs from anyone else. I'm here to build based on my knowledge and them. And they start to get to know me, how I was adding value to the organization. And now, thanks to that, I think that I'll call it all the sacrifice, all the hard work and resilience paid off because now I'm here representing Ferrari North America, supporting the expansion of the brands and making sure that I not only represent the company here, but I represent also the core values that they allow me to enter while I was there.
It's powerful, man. Thanks for sharing that. Marcelo? Turn your mic on.
You hear me now?
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. So I was saying I feel very connected in this panel because my office is at Aeon. Was an alumni from Kraft Foods, and I also been let's say foreigner in Italy when I was in Pirelli, and I really understand the pain. So after pain there is growth always, right? So courage for me started maybe. It's a mix of a professional and personal story here, right? My dad always told me that I shouldn't be afraid of anything, right? And I think I took it to heart because every 2 years I tried to do something that I was afraid of doing, right? I was afraid of swimming in open water, and I got myself into triathlons, right? Those that, I don't know how many triathletes we have here, but you start with 3,000 people, right? In an Ironman, it's a pretty stressful experience. I was many years in large companies, and at one point I left and I started my journey of being an angel investor on one side and a managing director in a consulting firm, which is business I have to learn from scratch. You know? Lately, I was fighting my imposter syndrome, right, Marcelo? English is a second language for you. You cannot write a blog, so why don't I write a book, right? I'm in the journey of writing a book. But the place where I learned the most is in high altitude mountaineering, right? As you can guess, I was afraid of what? Heights, right? So I said, well, why not to remove that fear from my pocket? And I started to climb when I was living in Asia, climb many, many peaks in the Himalayas, and then I tried to Everest, right? And I was there 2 times. And I think I will be famous for writing a book of how not to summit Everest after being 2 times. I was in 2016, and that was when an avalanche killed 15 people. And I was lucky to be on the other side of the avalanche, but I lost 5 friends. I went into back in 2018, and I got to Camp 3, was very close to the summit, and I got a pulmonary edema, right? I don't know if you know what it is, but when your lung doesn't work, so imagine that you are at 7,000 meters with a third of the oxygen that you have at sea level, and with 1 lung, right? When I describe this, I always say it was the worst day of my life, but believe me, it was the first day of the rest of my life. I really survived. I was very close to die, very close to die. And when you go through these experiences in mountaineering, basically, you learn about courage in a different way, right? It's not only the courage that you need to summit, it's the courage sometimes you need to pause and quit because it's not the right thing to do for you, for your team, right? You're climbing in a team of 4 and you have a problem, and there is someone else that is coming down with you. So the team that was 4 automatically gets reduced to 2. So 50% of the power of that team in a summer day is a big change. But I think the other side of courage in mountaineering is what I've seen colleagues of mine saving lives of many, right? And including myself. And when I was doing research for my book, I was looking at the origin of the word courage, right? I don't know if someone knows that, but it comes from a Latin word, coratium, which means coming from your heart, right? And I think I look at courage also as an act of love, right? When you really put yourself out there for others, you put yourself in a second place sometimes, and you really enjoy seeing others succeeding, right? And sometimes you need to have courage to do that, right? So not the professional story, my journey, maybe, but a different one.
It's perfect. It's a perfect segue to a follow-up question I wanted to ask all of you was, like whether the moment you shared and or other courageous moments in your career, like deep down, like what enabled you to make the choice to pursue that journey, to change something? Where did the courage moments start? Daniel, you want to kick us off there?
I think taking risk and getting out of your comfort zone, because I think you can continue to be in that element that you're comfortable, you have a good salary, you have a good quality of life, but it's that element that eventually turns a bit boring. That element of excitement, and Jen mentioned it a bit, of you do the same every day, that turns to be part of the routine, but it's taking that out of that comfort zone, creating excitement and recovering the love and the passion of what you do. And for me, that was a key. I still have great friends in Pepsi. I still buy Doritos every week, but still is that element. You know what? I'm passionate about what I do today, and it was the right decision. Although it was suffering for the first 6 months, it takes me to a happy place where I am today.
For you, deep down, like you're passionate about, you're learning, you're growing. Like, why does that matter to you as a leader? Like, deep down, like, why do those things matter to you?
I think the every day you want to have those personal and professional objectives that challenge you and makes you feel rewarding, not only to your team or the people you work with or the product that you launch to the marketplace, but at the end of it, inside is that element that you feel that you're growing, you feel that you're evolving as a human being, and at the end of the day, the skills, the challenges that the workplace gives to you, as well as on the day-to-day life, make you a better person, and therefore on myself, a better partner, a better father, a better family member. And this is something that for me is quite forward.
I love it. Alan, how about you, man?
I feel like I'm not giving a lot of original answers. I'm just building on my neighbor over here. But I agree with so much of what was just said. And I think for me, it's knowing every single day you're learning new things about yourself. You learn the things that you love. You learn the things that you don't love, right? And for me, throughout my entire career, is trying to find more and more ways to pursue those things that give me energy, right? They give me drive, they give me that allow me to go after my passions in a big way. And some advice that I was given, but I now pass along to my team, and they're probably sick of me saying it, but on a very regular basis, is you can't just look at where you are as the default, and that's going to be continued until something knocks you off your course. Like, the decision to stay where you are, it needs to be an active decision every day. The decision to change or keep these routines, to keep the way you're doing things. It can't just be a status quo that has inertia, right? That just keep pushing you forward. You got to make that decision, right? Am I doing the things that give me love, that give me energy, that allow me to exercise those passions in the right way? That's true in personal decisions. It's true in professional decisions. And it's what has allowed me to make a lot of really big changes in my life, right? Moving from career in banking to going to school, from working in more the world of OTC and pharma into getting into candy, right? When I was sitting in banking and someone said, 5 years from now, you're going to be building a health and wellness strategy for a candy company. I'm like, what does that even mean, right? But it was something that, as I kept trying to figure out, like, what am I going to do that allows me to just be happy every day? It's made those decisions much easier. But knowing it is a decision, right? It's not a don't make the decision today and stay where you are. Make the decision if this is really where you want to be today.
Love it. Jen, for you, what's been the deeper why behind some of the just transitions and courage kind of moments in your career?
So, now 20 years in the industry, I'm at a point where I actually lead part of Aon's global innovation team. And when I say part of innovation at Aon is number 5 at the company in terms of leadership. And then I'm number 2 below. And so really just managing a tremendous amount of inertia with teams that are, again, much smarter than me. And so I think what helps drive some of this is my passion around helping not only our company grow to a create solutions for challenges, but being comfortable with helping teams develop those in a way that really is impactful and meaningful. And I think from a career standpoint, being able to kind of take a step back and let other people succeed is been how we've built great things together. I feel that though maybe somewhat generic, I think that passion really is what maybe gives us the purpose for what we do, right? And you can find passion in so many things, and some of it's with work, and some of it's with family, and some of it's with friends, and some of it's surrounding current events. And I think that one thing that's just given me personally in my career is feeling that what I am doing and I'm part of my career is making an impact, a person or a company or an organization, and that it's also doing something that I can be proud of. And so,
No, 100%. I love that. Marcelo, for you, you had shared I was something that scares you every 3 years, and then don't be afraid of what you're afraid of. Like those are, I wrote those down and I have them hanging like on my wall in my office at the house. But I'm curious, like for you, like where does the kind of motive for you outside of it just being something that was handed down to you from your father, like deep down, like why does it matter to you to do something that challenged you, that or you're not afraid, or you try not to be afraid of things you're afraid of? Like, why does that matter to you?
I think I got a very, I would say, interest for how do I spend my time every day, right? Because, when that happened to me, I was almost thinking that it was the end, right? And then you have a completely different appreciation for the time you have in this planet, right? So my energy comes from making sure that if I have an hour in the day, my energy is spent in the right thing, something that matters to me, to people around me. I always remember, and there is a person that worked with me in the past, those two over there we were together in Mondelez. We had our chief information officer, Mark Dajani, was in Kraft and then Mondelez. I always remember he gave me a larger role, and I was feeling like uncomfortable because it was too large. And I remember I met with Mark the first day and said, Mark, what are you expecting from me in this role? I said, oh, it's very simple. I said, okay, so what do I need to do? Make them shine. And I'm like, okay, so what are the revenue numbers, the cost numbers, the budget numbers? No, you don't get it. Your outcome is getting this team, make them shine. So I quite didn't understand that day what he meant, to be honest with you. It took me a few years to understand. But today, when I look back to what he said, is, as you said, right? It's making sure what you do has impact. When you look back, you're leaving a team that is better than it was when you got it, a company that is better that it was when you got it, leaving a legacy, right? Because if that doesn't happen, that's what I'm thinking. I'm spending my time in the wrong way, and I get uncomfortable, and that's where I pivot again. But I have this mechanism inside me that is obsessive sometimes. I'm spending my time in the right way. Do I see my impact in others, in the company, in the people around me? So that's where it is coming from.
Go ahead.
Can I build? Can I build? So basically, building on the panel, I think making shine and also passion was shared by all of us. I think one of the key elements is, and actually you will find this in an Argentinian movie, The Secret in Her Eyes. Is there's this part of the movie that the guy says, passion, and you can change your preferences. You can change boyfriend, girlfriend. You can change where you live, where you work, but you cannot change your passion. And this is something that sometimes people they really know what is their passion, whatever it is, football or the workplace or what they do. And sometimes it's helping our team members to find their passion so they can shine. And as an end goal for us as leaders, we shine through them because we are unlocking their potential to succeed within the company and therefore helping us to achieve our targets as leaders.
I love that. One thing is all of you have been talking about passion and impact. The thing I was thinking about is, and I think I'm just reflecting on a lot of conversations I've had recently with leaders. Some are passionate and they're making changes. Others are kind of burned out and they're just sleepwalking. And it's the awareness of self, the awareness of like, what am I passionate about? Am I doing what I love? Like those questions like pervade, right? And I'm curious for all four of you, I'm sure you've had kind of seasons, but when you think about being in tune with your passion and alignment with that in terms of those courageous actions and or persevering through those courageous journeys, like how have you figured out what you're passionate about? Like, how do you know what you're passionate about? Alan, you want to kick us off there?
Yeah, absolutely. The honest answer is, like, for most people, like, you don't just like know your passion immediately, right? It's one of those things that some people are lucky. I wasn't, right? And you need to try things. You got to take yourself out of your comfort zone, try a bunch of things and figure it out, right? And whether it's professionally, right, where a lot of different stretch roles and the opportunities I was in, you know, if someone says, hey, we got this cool new project, just raise my hand, right? As, you know, trying to find those ways to have new experiences. But it's also true in my personal life, just trying to figure out, like, what are the things that I'm going to do when I'm not working or not taking care of my kids, which are obviously a massive passion. But as I think about other passions as well, it's being open to new experiences. And maybe it's a bit cliche and, like, you know, you'll hear that a lot. But if you stay with what you're doing every single day and you become that robot, right, who goes to work, does their job, goes home, start over, you're not going to be open to those new experiences. And for me, it takes investment, it takes time, but man, the payoff is huge when you find something that you love and you can really pursue with all your energy.
Yeah, that's worth saying again. When you find something you love, you can pursue it with all your energy. Like, I freaking love it. When I've like been on fire in my career, like that's it. Jenna, how about you? How have you been able to take? Yeah.
Maybe I'm lucky. I love where I'm at. I love what I do. I love who I work with. I love kind of the part of the journey that I'm on. I think what really drives me is helping my team in one way make an impact, right? So doing good works that help individuals or companies become better, and helping what we do really helps the rest of the world succeed, right? I also feel like I'm at a point in my career and at a stage in my career that I can help individuals at my company of 50,000 build a voice. So it's no secret that we have a tremendous amount of challenges in our world right now and a lot of conflict. And there are communities that feel marginalized or scared. And we have to be good about sharing voices in a reasonable way, in a diplomatic way, but making everyone feel safe and feel heard. And I feel so blessed that I am a confidant of many on multiple sides of the fence to come to, and that I can carry their voice in a way that I am not scared to within our organization and then outside of our organization. And I don't know if it's appropriate to say I love that, but I feel so good about trying to drive awareness and I don't know if change yet is possible, but things like that. And then we've also talked about our family. I think I love the stage of life that I'm at with my family because I have a young family and we're helping them grow and helping them be good citizens and start to figure out what their passions are, their fears are, and accomplish things that are good for them. So the commonality there, though, I think is impact and then hopefully doing good works from that.
How about you guys?
I think it's easier for me to understand when my passion is not in the right place. And, to your point on family, my family will tell me, my wife will tell me, she knows me so well. And actually my team says that I cannot play poker because my face is very easy to read. So when I ask people around me, how do you see me today or this way? Because I want to know. And then I feel it myself when my level of energy is not the right one. And I'm starting to be afraid of, I'm starting to say, well, I'm afraid of this, right? And it happened in many moments in my career when I was in a company for 20 years and I sit down with my boss and I said, I just came here to tell you I'm going to leave. And he says, what? When? I said, I don't know. So what do you mean you don't know? I don't know when, but I've been in this company 25 years and I'm going to leave. I'm not going to leave from one day to the other. Neither I'm going to tell you on Friday that I'm going to the dentist when I'm going to an interview. So I want you to know, but you have a job already. I don't. And I wanted to do it that way, and I wanted to take that risk because I thought it was the right thing to do. And he never understood. And one day he said, what did you lose? Can we give you more money? I said, I lost my passion. I'm not learning anymore. It's not about money. I just need something different. And it happened that way. You feel it, right? I feel it. My wife will tell me, as I said. So
I love that, and it's not necessarily sometimes always intrinsic. It's having those external voices and being vulnerable enough to hear them, right? Like, Daniel, how about you, man?
No, I will answer the question in two ways. I think it took me a while to discover what was my passion, because I realized that when I was growing up, I was following my mother's passion, not mine. She wanted me to learn how to speak English. She wanted me to how to do IT programming and how to repair computers. And then I eventually said, my mom, yeah, you need to study IT because IT is the next thing in this world. And I was like, but I don't like it. I don't like it. I've been doing it because it's this Saturday afternoons at the trainings that you were putting me on and actually helped me in life. But it was not where my passion is. And then until I realized that this is not me. This is my mom living her dreams through me. And until I realized that, I said firmly, you know what? What do I want to do? Why do I want to make an impact in this world? And then at the time, at Purity, I was with a lot of acne, and I was like, you know what? Maybe food is my passion. This is where I want to make healthy products, and I want to make sure that I make products and stand out to have a benefit in the marketplace, and making sure that they stand out and consumers love what I do. Whatever it is, a Quaker bar for Pepsi or a Dorito, whatever, now with Ferrero cookies and chocolate. I want to make sure that the passion that my team has based on creativity and the element that they do, we make it shiny, we make the products stand out. But I want to share this with you because at the end of the day, and even now it's a fight with my brother, with my mom, that we were living through her dreams. Now is the time, or that time was living our dreams, not taking hers.
I love that. I'm going to ask like one or two more questions, and we're going to open it up. So would love you guys to be thinking. I'm going to throw all four of you a little bit of a curveball here. Still similar in terms of my last question, but you triggered something for me that I think it'd be interesting to get into. There's a lot of turbulence in the marketplace. We can all agree, a lot going on. I feel like a lot of our teams are disengaged, maybe more than ever. Just challenging. Life's challenging right now, and each one of you has talked about your teams and leadership, and I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't dig into that a little bit. As you think about like Q4, even into next year, how are you, for as leaders, thinking about kind of what has to be true for you to be effective from a leadership perspective? How are you continuing to evolve as a leader as you need to probably move faster and move with more agility in the face of uncertainty? I'm just curious. Daniel, you want to kick us off on that one, man? Or anybody else is ready to go? So.
Yeah, no,
It's fine. I could start. I think at the end of the day, we at the moment, all of us went through COVID, and at the moment we continue to face challenges post-COVID. Within the food industry, there is. It was COVID, right? No. So at the end of the day, we continue to face the challenges of COVID. Within the food industry, we still have challenges of sourcing our raw materials. We are getting the day-to-day, there's not fat, or there's no chocolate, or there's no this ingredient that we cannot source. How can you react fastly to deliver, not only to deliver what you need to put in on the shelves, but also to deliver the innovation? So that element of being agile, being resilient to find different ways to react and react fast. We are in a market that is so fast in the way that we see consumer proposition. Now everything is on Halloween. Tomorrow everything we're already in Christmas, a day after Halloween, right? So we need to have that ability for us to put in a consumer proposition that stand out, that gain interest, and of course are rotating in a way that we as companies, we have that incrementality and volume.
For Ferrero, we talked about how like quality and the craftsmanship is just non-negotiable. And as a leader, how do you balance the need for the speed, agility, but with not sacrificing the quality aspect?
That's a great question, because we're at the moment implementing that in North America. If you think about Ferrero products, Ferrero Rocher, Nutella biscuit that we just recently launched, are products that took them 5 to 7 years to 8 years to launch. And at the time, the technology was not even existent. So we had to build and create the technology to make it happen. The marketplace in North America, although we're Ferrero, we cannot work on 7-year projects to launch and make an impact, because we already have those products coming in from Europe to feed the marketplace here in North America. But what we're trying to implement today is still keeping the quality of our raw materials, to keeping the differentiation of Ferrero into brands that we have acquired, but also within the Ferrero brands. So we are introducing Nutella Peanut in North America. Again, we're introducing products like the Nutella Biscuit, Nutella Be Ready, that are coming with that element of differentiation. And at the same time, we're feeding in innovation within our core North American brands like Crunch, Butterfinger, Famous Amos, etc., with the same attributes, same quality, the same value that Ferrero has as a company.
Alan?
It's funny. I took the question, I guess, in a different way, but I'll answer my way, and we'll sort of all, build on it together. I think you talk about all everything going on outside and how we work with our teams on it. As I think about my teams, and I think even more so over the past couple of weeks, or with everything going on in the world today, everyone is feeling something, right? And this idea of, it's so easy for us to say as leaders, like, bring your whole self to work. It's so easy to say, it's so difficult to do. And like, very personal, like I've struggled a lot over these past couple of weeks. And for me, part of it was letting my team know that I'm a very optimistic person by nature. Someone says, how are things going? Like, amazing. That's the core answer I'll give. And saying, like, I'm having a really rough time, right? And for me, it was hard. It took a really big shift for me in the way that I get asked that question, how I answer that question, to answer honestly and authentically. But I think whether it's one issue or another, everyone's facing something, and giving people that space to not feel like they are isolated as they're dealing with those issues. I think it's incredibly important, right? Everyone needs to have a voice at work. They need to feel at home. They need a sense of belonging. And for me, no matter what issue you're facing, it could be in your personal life, it could be macroeconomic, it could be political in nature, knowing that you're able to bring your whole self there. Because if you can't do that, like, you're not gonna feel like you have a home. If you don't feel like you have a home, right? Like, what's keeping you there?
Love that. Jen, how about you?
I'm kind of struck by, we're all in not the same industry, but similar industries where we have folks that, or at least we're in a corporate environment rather than being in the manufacturing plants or on the floor. My company, part of what we do is we advise other organizations around employee resilience, et cetera. So you look at multiple industries, and there's clearly a tremendous shift in some of them, and it changes not just by industry, but it changes by demographic, by age, by salary band, and then where they are at work, right? So the hospital industry, we heard about Kaiser Permanente having a strike of 75,000 nurses, and we think that they're moving into a settlement, or they have been. United Auto Workers, and the list goes for the last couple of years, really. And there's a reckoning in the post-COVID, or kind of, I will say, transitional COVID environment now, that we have to be thinking about, not only as leaders, but also as just citizens, right? What is this person that I am working with at the hospital that is seeing me? What are they going through? And so, from a leadership perspective, I truly am in just an easy scenario. We work with great people and they do great work. But I think for us, from an advisory standpoint, we have to recognize the tremendous shifts in the environment, right? You went from a place 5 years ago where employers had the control, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, where employees had the control, and now where there's this tremendous amount of uncertainty with work from home, or folks that can't work from home, or industries that never worked from home. And so I think that this is a real struggle that companies are going through. I wouldn't say gracefully, but we, with data analytics and some very serious professional input, are helping some of these companies work through it so that they can make better choices with their employees and their employee base.
Yeah. Marcelo? After he's done, we're going to open it up, so be ready.
I will be brief. So first, agility for us in our company, we have 2 out of the 5 authors of the Agile Manifesto are the founders of ThoughtWorks. So agility is in our culture. As a professional services company, actually, the COVID times were our best times, specifically since most industries and organizations have to digitize every single touch point with customers, employees. So it was a great time for us from the business perspective. Recession is tough these days. Closing engagements with clients is slower than what we were expecting. But what we do, the recipe we have to be on top of things, is being close to our customers, super close to our customers. We being proactive. I have to tell you, most of my time is with customers. I think I have done more than 16 of these sessions about what generative AI means for my company and how can I get value out of it, right? And try to do that proactively, right? Try to really understand what's happening with our customers in different industries and get the signals from there. From the leadership perspective, I think, going back to the managing your time, your energy, I think what we do as a leadership team is we need to remove fear from the organization. There is a lot of uncertainty for many reasons. And I love a quote from a book. It's a very old book about leadership. It's called Leadership is an Art, from Max Dupree. And it says, leaders, the first responsibility of a leader is creating a new reality. And every time we get into the office as a leadership team, we have that in front of us. What's the reality that we want to create for ourselves, for our company, and for our employees? Because that's our biggest responsibility.
I love that. Let's open it up. Quick, let's give these a round of applause here. That's fantastic.
Thank you so much for being here today and talking about courageous actions and thinking. I have a question about how you're seeing industry overall right now. Do you feel that people are playing to win or playing not to lose? And where does courage fit into that?
I can share a thought. I don't think the totality of industry is choosing one or the other, but I think you're seeing very different actions from those folks that are on each side of the way you asked that question. I think right now you're seeing so many companies, and I guess I'll focus in my sector first, in food and beverage, that are dealing with massive struggles from inflation and supply and labor issues that are there. And the gravitational pull is play not to lose, keep your head above water. And what you're seeing is these companies are still raising prices because they have to with inflation. They're seeing results suffer in a big way, if that is all they're doing, right? I think those companies that are playing to win, and there's a certain bias I have as I answer this question of they're innovating now because it's more important to innovate today than it is than any other time, right? As you see inflation come in, price gaps widen between private label and branded products. If you're not innovating and differentiating yourself, what are you doing? Like, why are you there? And it's fighting that gravitational pull from just survive into really choosing to go after like great results, great products. And I think innovation is more critical now than ever in that way.
Marcelo, when you were talking about climbing the mountain earlier, over here, you had talked about making the tough decision to turn around. And as I heard all of you up there speaking, it was this courageous decision to pivot and make a move into the career that you're in. But how do you evaluate that balance when it's the right decision to keep pushing through and keep persevering versus when you have to make that hard decision to pivot and readjust and maybe turn back?
From the mountaineering and leadership perspective, I think you need to understand what your responsibility is. That has to be at the center of, has to be in here. Why you're doing what you're doing, why you're climbing, and the responsibility you have in your climbing team or in your business team. And when you see these headwinds, in where you're in the position in where you need to say, do I continue or do I turn around? You need to take the decision in that context. What does it mean for those around you, your customers, your team, yourself? But to your question, I think it's never yourself first. In my personal experience, it's always trying to answer the question, what does it mean for those around me? And then to me.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, my name's Jason Williams. Thank you all for sharing. Great discussion so far. I think this has been a great discussion on personal examples of kind of visionary leadership and sharing your courage and passions. I guess I feel like, is there, at the corporate level, right? I mean, not everyone you work with, you're in very big organizations, as Jin, you referenced, right? You've got these big companies around you. Not everyone is as visionary and passionate as you are. So I guess I'm curious, as you're looking at courage, and you shared great examples of personal courage, what does corporate courage look like as you're trying to impact that? Or how might you define corporate courage compared to the personal courage you shared?
I think that's a great question. I might take this in a little different direction unless someone has a direct answer for this. But listen, there are various stages of career, and then there are also various stages of work product. And I don't know that at every point in your career you need to be courageous, but I think that it is important to try your best in most of your career. And so you set yourself up for a point in time that when you may need to be courageous or make a shift or a decision, you don't have one option in front of you, but you have a group of opportunities or people that you have worked with or experiences that you've had that you can lean on. I do know that even in large organizations, there are various different ways and extremely varied ways of operating. And so the way that you operate within one may take a different amount of courage or just fortitude than others. And building your style of work, I think, is important. I don't know that you always need to be courageous, but I think trying your best most of the time will help you build toward something that you can be courageous around in the future too.
Yeah, I love so much about that. If you're that person in every single meeting or situation saying, let's just go blow it up and start over, like it loses the impact. And like having that type of courage every day, right, may feel exciting, right? But like find those things that are most important to you, where you think you have to stand up and make a choice. So whether it's on, no matter what the type of issue is, being choiceful allows your words to have even more power, right, in the way you express them.
I just want to piggyback on that. You guys are kind of talking about corporate courage. I would love to know how you guys foster courage on your teams and how you kind of encourage that when it is appropriate.
You want to build? Okay. So this is a great question, and throughout the conversation we talk about making people shine or making us drive growth as an organization to our team members. It's just my mic, right? So the way that I've been sharing this to my team members and junior managers within my team is that, hey, anyone can be a manager, but just a few people can be people managers. And this element on the few ones that are people managers are the ones that are able to foster and take time to their people to allow them to shine, allow them to give them the tools, allow them to give them the right objectives, the right challenges, the right capabilities so they can continue to foster growth within the organization. And they feel that they're making an impact not only on the company, but they're making an impact on themselves as well.
I'll piggyback on that a little bit, and then Marcelo, you may have another comment. But being in the innovation space, you can't ever be right all of the time, and so giving people liberty to fail, but also working with an agile methodology where we fail quickly, I think helps build boldness at minimum. And then also, you've talked about authentic self. I think bringing your life experience and your just experience in general, we really encourage that, right? Because if we all think the same way, we're never going to get to the best results. So we really foster that not only on my team, but just broadly within the organization. And I think that many of the companies, again, from an advisory standpoint that we work with well, also foster those types of roles and rules. So I think it's important in our industry.
Awesome. So just kind of wrap up for this evening. So thankful to have you guys here. Something we didn't really emphasize earlier is that we've also got viewers online. So hello to our online audience. We're thrilled to have always a consistent group that keeps coming back to these events. For those that are not familiar with this series that we do, having leaders on the stage like this in this format is something we do regularly. And so if you are interested or inspired or you take things from this, come back, whether it's in person or online. We always share out the recordings as well. The website is, I always forget this.
thegaragegroup.com/CMO.
It's very simple. And I continue.
Don't forget thegaragegroup.com/CMO. There you go. He's watched all the videos.
All of them. but either way, this evening's for you guys. We'll continue to have drinks out and snacks for the next 30 or so minutes. We hope you guys stay around and you guys are able to continue to network. I know for me, as I look back on hearing everybody talk, it's always so wonderful to hear people talk about their conscious pivots versus, I know the story from my side, it's much easier to tell it in reverse than it is to talk about it and consciously when you're going to make those pivots and make those choices. So hopefully you guys are inspired by some of their choices that they've made and the decisions and the reasoning and the thinking behind it. As I know in my networking beforehand that there was several folks here tonight that are middle of those conscious pivots. So I wish the best for everybody. And thank you again for being here tonight. And if I could have you guys just stay on the stage for a couple minutes for photos. Anything else? yeah, we'll mix it up. So we'll go over that way. But thank you guys so much.